video lectures have given this matter. So the Hopkins test actually is a regenerative test. If you observe here, so we are conducting this test on, just admitting others. So two machines connected, that means these are identical machines connected in parallel, and one acts as a generator, other acts as a motor. So first, let me disable the emotions and mute all the people. If you want, you can respond at any time. Okay. So these identical machines are connected here. Still, people are joining. So the excitation of this machine can be this machine can be adjusted by one resistance here. The excitation of the other machine, which acts as a motor, can be adjusted by this rheostat. So what is the purpose of this generator? To supply power to the motor. So it will supply power to the motor like this, but this power is not enough for the motor losses. That means it can give supply to the motor to some extent, but this power is not enough even to support the losses. So in such case, for losses point of view, 1 minute. For losses point of view, to support the losses, we are giving extra supply you are taking from this. This supply is to supply the losses of the machines. Now, if you observe, this system is identical machine system. I'm not bidding others. Machine system. First, what we are going to do is we will vary the excitation of this machine, this motor, so that this motor speed can be adjusted to a rated speed. Once the motor speed comes to a rated value, then we will adjust the excitation of this generator. Till what point we will adjust? Till the output of the generator is equal to the supply voltage. That means the voltage across the generator must be equal to supply voltage. After ensuring that only, we have to close the switch. Otherwise, what happens? Because of the voltage difference between these two machines, that means in the loop, there is a circulating current in this loop. So that's why till that point the switch is open. Once the voltmeter reading is 0, when the voltmeter reads 0, then the excitation is adjusted such that the voltage across the generator is equal to the supply voltage. Then the switch is closed. So this is the starting point. Starting point is switch is open, excitation of the motor is adjusted to rated speed, excitation of generator is adjusted to get the voltmeter reading 0, then switch is closed, then this generator is in parallel to the supply. So this is the beginning condition. At this condition, we will take the readings of excitation of motor field current, generator field current, and as well as the line current. These things will take. That's what is explained in this slide. So this is what a second machine will act as a generator, first machine will supply. These all things I have explained. Rheostat is adjusted till voltmeter reading is 0, then S is closed. Then the generator I2 is adjusted to any value by increasing excitation of the field rheostats. That means generator rheostat, or by reducing the field rheostat of the motor. Like this, by varying these values, once it is connected in parallel, by varying these values, the excitation values can be changed. So let us come to the calculation of the efficiency. Here we are taking these two machines are identical. So that's why we will take the efficiency same. So this is true only in case of some machines which are big one, as I told. So if you take these, the supply voltage, I1 is the current taken from the supply, and I2 is the current supplied by the generator, I3 is the field current of the motor, I4 is the field current of the I4 is the field current of motor, I3 is the field current of generator. Then RA is the armature resistance of each machine, which is identical. And if you take efficiency of both generator and motor as N, we can write what is the input of the motor. Input of the motor equal to supply voltage into what is the current that is given to the motor, I1 plus I2. So what is the output of the the output of the motor, input into efficiency into input. We can write like this. What is the output of the motor? Output of the motor is given to input because it is driving the generator. I said it is a regenerative feedback because motor is driving generator and generator supply is fed back to the motor. That's why regenerative. Regenerative means it is given as a feedback. So that point you have to consider. You have to understand properly. Then what is the input to the generator? Output of the motor. So output of the motor is input to generator. What is the output of the generator? Efficiency into input. So efficiency into input. This is m square V into I1 plus I2. Therefore, output of the generator is equal to, already we know this is the voltage across generator is V and current is I2, V, I2. So you should be very careful while doing the problems. One should have clear idea about this circuit, then only you can properly substitute these values. Okay now. Next, you can write from the previous expression what is m square root of I2 by I1 plus I2, where I2 is the generator output current and I1 is the supply current. So if these two are known, the efficiency of the machine can be calculated. So from this circuit, we said that this assumption of equal efficiency is true in case of large output machines. Whereas in case of small output machines, this is not possible because there is a difference in the excitation currents in the small machines. It is true in the large machines, where large machines, the excitation currents are almost same. The stray losses are assumed to be equal, whereas armature field current losses are separately determined. Here stray losses are same for both the identical machines, but armature losses you have to calculate separately. So coming to the armature losses, armature copper loss of generator, the current in the armature, what is that? I2 plus I3 whole square into RA. What is the armature copper loss in the motor? The current in the armature. What is the current in the armature? This is I4, this is I1 plus I2. I1 plus I2 minus I4 is the current in the motor. Therefore, that is the point you have to get. So what is the copper loss in the field? Voltage into current in the field. What is the copper loss in the field winding of motor? Voltage into current in the field winding. So power drawn from the supply V into I1. So after knowing all these, we can calculate the stray loss. What is stray loss? Input power minus copper loss, field copper loss and armature copper loss plus armature copper loss, both the machines. That is stray loss. This is the way you can calculate the stray losses for both the machines. What is the stray loss for each machine? Half of the stray loss. Therefore, total loss equal to the stray losses, each machine total loss equal to each machine stray loss plus, for a motor, this is a copper loss, field copper loss plus armature copper loss. So input to the motor is equal to, we know, V into I1 plus I2, therefore output by input. Input minus these losses by input. So if you can substitute for the motor. If it is a generator, so same way, total loss is equal to armature copper loss plus field copper loss plus this is stray loss of a generator. Therefore, output of a generator we know V into I2. Therefore, generator efficiency equal to output by output plus losses. So this is the way you can calculate the efficiency for motor and generator separately. Here generator efficiency is not an important, but because motor efficiency we are supposed to calculate, as a part of that we are getting generator efficiency also. So what are the advantages? Power required for conducting the cells is very small. Because two identical machines we are tracking, we are not loading separately. So machines are operated at full load conditions because we are operating the speed at full load, full speed, and we are varying the excitation to get the rated voltage. So these are all full load conditions. Change in iron losses due to flux at full load will be included. Because which is a problem with if you see the Swinburne's test, because there we are not conducting the full load test. That is a problem with Swinburne's test. As the machines are tested under full load conditions, temperature rise and quality of commutation of two machines can be observed. If you take the Swinburne's test we have taken, so the new resistance is equal to 40 degrees centigrade, some positive temperature coefficient you have taken, new resistance we have calculated, because we are conducting the test at no load. What is the full load resistance we are calculating separately? Such type of problem is not there because we are conducting at full load condition. The test is economical because power required is very less and there is no need for arranging actual load because motor is a supply to generator, generator is a feedback supply to the motor. there is no separate supply because for motor, generator is a load. For generator, motor is a load. So there is no separate load is required here. Got it? Somebody respond.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So what are the disadvantages of Hopkinson's test? There is difficulty in availability of two identical emissions. It's very difficult to get same two identical emissions with same armature resistance, same output power. So that is a issue. So the iron losses in the two machines cannot be separated because separation of iron losses is there. The test is not included in your syllabus. Iron loss separation must be there. Here we are not separating iron losses means what are the iron losses? What are the iron losses? Hysteresis and eddy current loss. That separation you are not doing separately. You are taking as one. The machines not loaded equally in case of small machines, which will because we said that this is more suitable for large machines. For small machines, there are some issues. But anyway, regenerative feedback it gives the efficiency almost nearly equal to the actual efficiency because these are all indirect tests. So if you take one problem, this I have discussed very clearly line to line in the video lecture. You go through that line to line. So here armature copper loss, field copper loss, total copper loss of the motor we can calculate. For generator also, we can calculate all these losses. After calculating, you can substitute. So motor generator side, we will get stray losses calculation. So efficiency of the motor, efficiency of the generator, we can calculate using the previous formulas. Should be very clear what are the currents given. What is the input current given? What is the output of the generator? What is the field current? They may give some currents, you can calculate other current. If they give this and this, you can calculate this current. If they give only these two, we can calculate this current. So we should have idea about field current, armature current, and current input to the motor. So if this idea you have, you can do any problem in the Hopkinson's test. So let us come to the fields test. Fields test, if you observe, as I said, Swinburne's test and brake test and Hopkinson's test, that test can be conducted on shunt motors. And even if you take the brake test, you can conduct on series motor. But especially for series motors, no load test cannot be conducted. As I said, Swinburne's test is a no load test. That test we cannot conduct for series motors because series motor there is a dangerously high speed under no load. Raise your hand, P. Lakshmi. What is the problem? Lakshmi? Lakshmi? Yeah, just speak to me. May I continue? Lakshmi? Just unmute your. May I continue or any doubt you have?
No, sir. Continue, Jain.
Yeah. So for series motors, we cannot conduct the Swinburne's test, no load test. In such condition, we are going to have this test. This test, if you observe, it is not a regenerative test because here motor is connected to generator, but generator power is not fed back to the motor. Generator power is being wasted in the external resistance. Motor is connected to generator. It is just like seem to be Hopkinson's test, but not regenerative. That means generator power not fed back to that. But if you see the two series fields of the generator and motor connected in series, you are measuring voltage across the armature of the motor, supply to the motor, and output of the generator current we are calculating. What is the voltage across the resistance we are calculating? For these things, we are going to get the efficiency. So here these points I have explained clearly how they are connected, how they are coupled, etc. etc. So let us come to the calculation part here. The resistance R is changed and you are going to vary this resistance until the current taken by the motor reaches the full load value. As I said, generator is a load to the motor. Means generator is a load to the motor means it is electrical load. How it is electrical load? If you measure the current A1, this A1, that means which is a supply current, and what is the output current of the generator? This one. If you vary the resistance, if you measure the current, which is full load, until the full load occurs on the motor, we will apply. Suppose there is a 19 amperes current is there, motor full load current. Until the 19 amperes or 18 amperes comes, you have to vary this resistance. So that is the way So current taken by the motor reaches full load value until that resistance is varied. It will be indicated by A1. What is the current taken by the motor indicated by A1? Okay. So let us go to the V. I1 is the current taken by motor. I2 load current. V2 terminal voltage across the generator. If you take RA, RSC, RA is the resistance, armature resistance of the both the machines. RSC is the series field resistance of each machine. Then how to take about it? What is the power taken from the supply? V into I1. What is the output obtained from the generator? V2 into I2. That means this is the output. V into I1 is the input. Therefore, what is the total loss of this set? What is the total loss of this set? Input minus output. V into I1 minus V2 into I2. So that is the total loss. So what is the armature and field copper loss? So armature copper loss, if you want to calculate, that means I1 square into RA of the motor plus 2 RSC. RSC plus RSC, 2 RSC is nothing but this I1 square into this resistance plus what is the armature copper loss of generator? I2 square RA. So therefore, total stray loss is equal to total losses minus copper loss. From that total stray losses you will get. Therefrom, stray losses for each machine equal to half of the value. So therefore, for motor, input is V1 I1 and total losses is equal to armature copper loss plus field copper loss plus stray loss. So for motor, if you take what is the armature copper loss? I1 square RA. What is the field copper loss? I1 square RSG. Plus what is the stray loss? Already we calculated half of the value. So what is the output of the motor? Input minus total losses. So this is the one. Therefore, efficiency equal to output by input. So this is for motor. So if you take the generator, so generator efficiency is not a big issue here. But if it is there, you can calculate output is V2 I2. I said for a generator, electrical output can be calculated. For motor, electrical input can be calculated. For generator, input cannot be determined directly. And for motor, output cannot be determined directly. That you have to convert those values in terms of losses. So output of the generator is V2 I2. Field copper loss equal to I1 square because the same current is flowing in the generator also. I1 square RSG. Armature copper loss equal to I2 square RA. Anyway from this. Therefore total losses is equal to, you can get armature copper loss plus field copper loss plus stray loss. Therefore what is the input to generator? Output plus total loss. I said because output is known, input is unknown, output plus total losses we will get. Therefrom efficiency can be obtained. So this is not a regenerative feedback method, but here this generator motor is not under no load condition because always this generator is connected to this. So using this fields test, why it is called fields test? The fields of the both the machines are connected in series and this test is conducted. So coming to the problem here, this problem you can go through the video lecture line to line. What are the values given? Here you see the input current is given, the voltage across this motor is given, the voltage across each field 15, each field is given, the generator output current is given, generator output voltage across load is given. Then you can substitute these values in the respective formulas as I discussed previously. If you want field resistance, voltage 15 divided by the current flowing in this field, that is 40 RSG. So that is the field resistance of each machine field resistance. If you want total field resistance, 2 RSG, like that. So this is the one you are supposed to calculate. RA is already given. You can substitute for total copper loss. Therefrom stray losses can be obtained. Therefrom stray loss of each machine is half of the value. So therefore you can calculate the efficiency of the motor and efficiency of the generator from copper loss, stray loss and total loss input. You substitute, you will get the efficiency of the motor. Same way efficiency of the generator, copper loss, series field copper loss, total loss equal to sum of the copper loss plus stray loss. Stray loss means half of the total stray loss. So you will get the efficiency. So this is about the end of this fourth unit. Okay. Okay, respond.
Okay, sir.
Yeah. So video lectures are provided. So you go through the problems of the video lectures and some problems already solved given. Previously I have given you the Word file. The same thing I have converted into PPT, but if some extra solutions also given here. If possible, I will convert this into PDF and give it to you for preparation. As I said, I have given Teja book. There number of problems are there, and we have Bimra book recently. This Ruchita has shared. I will give that for practice point of view, and that is the about 4th unit. Now coming to the 5th unit, this is the syllabus we have. So first single phase transformers, if you take these highlighted, are you able to see this? See this slide?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
So which is highlighted in the yellow color, this is already covered in the first year. Testing is covered in the first year, open circuit, short circuit test.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Is it covered in the first year? Testing.
Yes, sir.
Polarity test, back-to-back test, separation, this one, it is not covered, I think. Huh?
No, sir.
Yeah. Voltage regulation is covered?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. I think except this part onwards, polarity and back eddy current loss, this part, this remaining part is already covered in first year. And three-phase transformer construction, types of construction also there. Is this covered, na?
Yes, sir.
Parallel
Yes, sir.
operation of single-phase transformers, is it covered?
No, sir.
No, it is not covered.
No, sir.
Yeah, I know that. Auto transformers construction principle of applications covered. Auto transformer. Construction is simple circuit diagram, that operation. Auto transformer. It is there in the first year
Yes.
syllabus. Okay.
Yes,
Yes,
sir. It
sir.
is covered, but not in deep, sir.
Not in the
Detail.
Not in the depth.
not in the
Not in
Depth, sir.
detail, sir.
first year syllabus. It is covered, na? Okay. Anyway, I will discuss these parts. At least I can go through these parts a little faster because these are already covered up to this point. Because OCSC already have done in the lab also, na?
Yes, sir.
So these things I can cover quickly so that we can go to this part a little faster. SCOT connection, three-phase, tap changing, unload. These are not covered. Three-winding transformers. So we can have more time on this. So because in the new timetable it is shared with you, 2 classes given in this week up to 8th. Have you seen that?
Yes, sir.
7 o'clock
Yes, sir.
and 3 o'clock as usual in the old timetable it is given. Okay, if possible, I will use the Google Meet. Yesterday I have installed that. If everybody is using, but the only thing is I cannot see my face as well as your faces also. I cannot see in that. That is the only problem. Let us see to what extent it is possible. And I have shared these slides and material in the WinNVU as well as Google Classroom. Long back I have shared some PDFs. And I have shared these PPTs also in the Google Classroom. You all of you collect that material, and I will share one more book, Ashfaq Hussain book also. That is 80 MB is there. I will share with you. And as per the slides, we'll go ahead with them. Okay. So I want to start the principal construction of the single phase transformers today. So may I go ahead because we have some 10 minutes time left. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, okay, sir.
Okay. So coming to this, so these slides already I have shared with you people. So I no need to explain what is a transformer, how it works, all these things. But as a part of the syllabus, just we have to cover this. That's why we are discussing. Okay. So everybody knows that a transformer is a static electrical machine which transfers electrical energy from one circuit to other circuit without changing the frequency, because there is no change of frequency. Frequency is constant. That is very important point. And another thing is a static electrical machine which rises or lowers voltage or current at the same frequency. Step up or step down can be possible. It works on the principle of mutual induction. So this is a simple thing. It is a static device. There is no rotational part. So it consists of two windings insulated from each other on a common core made of magnetic material. Because if you see this, so this is a power transformer. You can see generally we'll see these things in the substations, etc. So this one, this is the definition we have seen. In all types of transformers, core is constructed by assembling laminated sheets of steel with minimum air gap between the laminations. Steel is used having high silicon content, heat treated to provide high permeability. Permeability is very important, maximum permeability. That's why the flux losses are very less. The flux is constant. Laminated sheets of steel reduce the eddy current loss, and to avoid high reluctance at joints, laminations are stacked. So the sheets are connected as a laminations. So you know the principle of operation of this induction principle. What is that? Mutual induction. EMF is induced in a coil when a current in the neighboring coil changes. You know, when two coils are kept one side, the current in one coil is changed. Then what happens? A flux will be induced in the other coil. This is called mutual induction. We can observe if there is a movement in this coil. That means if there is a current, there is no movement. If there is a current change in this coil, there will be a current change. That means flux change in this coil, so that you can observe there is a change of reading in the voltmeter. So this is a simple principle of the transformer. So before going to the types of transformers, let us go ahead with previous slide. So this is the one simple way we can represent. This is the supply voltage. When the supply voltage is changed, the current input to this winding is changed. When the input in this winding is changed, then the current into number of turns. That means, what is that? Current into number of turns. Somebody?
MMF.
MMF. The MMF will change. The MMF will produce flux. That flux will go through this core. This is almost constant flux. This flux, when linked with this secondary of the winding, it will induce currents and MMF that will produce the EMF in the second side of the coil. There is no direct connection. It is an induction. The problem. Wait a minute. Have you seen the lecture videos, previous lecture videos? Hello? Yesterday, I posted one thing. How many views are there? It is struck because a number of sites are open. So meanwhile, I will just show you. I think there is. Sorry, a minute. So you go through the question bank yesterday that I have shown to you. So I'm going to give you this some of the handwritten slides, and as well as some word file is available. So for consolidating that, I will give it to you. So my intention is, because the next class is very far, I think it is on 3rd or 4th. So before that, I will plan some more classes on these transformers. Go through the material, whatever I have given to you in terms of slides, as well as the other PDF things I have given to you. Go through that. And so that our discussion will be little faster. Transformer, equivalent circuit, under load, under no load conditions, what is the position, these things you go through. So that I no need to spend much time, because we have less number of classes, more syllabus to finish. So your cooperation is very much required, because line to line discussion of the already covered syllabus, you cannot focus. So that I will discuss those things, but little faster you have to go. That's why it is better if you go through the covered topics in terms of material that I have provided to you. Okay, now somebody
Yes,
respond,
sir.
yeah. Hello, Agles
Yes, sir.
It's going little slower. I'm continuously thinking about your syllabus and third year syllabus. I'm not getting sleep. So I've seen this. So what are the types of transformers? Basis of construction, classified into 2 types. That is core type and shell type transformer. You know, have you come across this
Shell
core type,
type.
shell type? So this is core type. Core type means, that means core is inside. So this is the core. This winding is connected on both the sides. This is shell type. That means winding is internal to this. The core is outside. So depends upon the, in core type transformers, windings are cylindrical, mounted on the core limbs. Like this, windings are cylindrical, mounted on the core limbs. Okay. The cylindrical coils have different layers, and each layer is insulated from each other. Either each layer, because the number of layers will be, they are insulated from each other. And materials like paper, cloth, mica can be used for insulation. Low voltage windings are placed near to the core, as they are easy to insulate. You see, near to the core. If you see here, low voltage winding near, high voltage winding outside. So this is the way we can place the windings in the core types of the transformer. You can see blue and yellow color. This orange color is high voltage winding. This blue color is low voltage winding. If you see here, blue colored one near to the core, and orange color one is away from the core, because the low voltage winding can be easily insulated. That's why that is kept near to the core. So coming to the shell type of transformer, here also, because the core is outside and these windings are kept at the central limb of this one. So representation of the core type of transformers. So normally we'll discuss about the core types of transformers whenever we go for discussion. This is the primary winding, secondary winding, leakage, main flux. And this is the way these construction sections, you can see these laminations, different type of laminations are there. This you can see. This is low voltage winding. This is high voltage winding, like that. Coming to the shell type of transformer, coils are former wound and molded in layers like this, stacked with insulation between them. May have simple rectangular form like this, as shown. It may be a distributed form like this. The winding can be distributed. So sandwich type of windings, because winding will be inside, the core is surrounding the winding. Here is a central limb. So here low voltage, high voltage, low voltage, high voltage, like that. The windings will be sandwich, means layer by layer you can keep. So on the basis of their purpose, they are step up transformer and step down transformer. So step up means voltage increase, step down means voltage decrease with subsequent current. So this we can see an example. What is step up, what is step down? 100 to 400, 1000 to 200 step down. It all depends upon the number of turns. Primary side less turns, secondary side more turns. Step up. Primary side less turns, secondary side more turns. That is step. This is the second is a less turn step down. So on the basis of use power transformer, distribution transformer, instrument transformer, they are used in high power network, distribution network. Instrument transformers, actually they are called measurement transformers, CTPT. They are used for measuring the current and voltage, because in the power system lines, there will be high voltage, high current. You cannot measure with ammeter, voltmeter. That's why you will use CTPT. Using that, you will measure the current. If there is 500 amperes, that is converted into 2 amperes. If there are some kilovolts, that is converted into some volts. So like that, we will measure. So this is a simple power transformer picture. You can see. So this is the distribution transformer. High voltage bushings are there. These are low voltage bushings and a filling pipe, oil filling type, and rating plate here. And this is a wall tank, wheels to move this one. And this is the oil drainage device to remove the oil, because oil is a very important part here for cooling purpose. The lifting lug, high voltage bushings. These bushings you can see outside. The thermometer to measure the temperature of the oil. So these are the various current transformers. You can see this. We can see in generally substations, etc. So these are potential transformer to measure the voltage. So on the basis of the cooling employed, oil filled and oil filled, water cooled, air blast type, air cooled, different types of transformers are there. So basing on the construction, so transformer consists of 2 inductive windings. Coils are insulated from each other. Consists of container of winding, core assembly. So these things, oil conservator, different parts will be there. So we are just nearing to the time completion of 1 minute. So may stop. Can you come to the still some more time? Please respond. 15-20 minutes. Do you have patience? Hello? 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 Somebody respond here.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
If you are ready, I will go through some working of transformer as well as EMF equation, like that. I will cover something. If you are really interested for next 15-20 minutes.